Hi, everybody. This is Coach Allison back with week 29 Defy Aging. And quick heads up, AKA or whatever, reminder, next week, week 30, will be our next mobility week. So just be ready for that. Anyways, this week we have something a little bit different. We are going to be on the turf. We're still going to be rotating around stations, but you're actually only going to rotate once. So, there's probably a catch to that, right? So since we're only rotating around once, what that means is while you're at each station, you're going to be there for a while. So while you're at each station, you're going to complete 6 rounds of 20 seconds on, 20 seconds off. So you'll be hanging around there for, I didn't do the math, like 5-ish minutes, I think that would be, give or take. 20 seconds on, 20-second break, back on for 20 seconds. So it's very repetitive, but that's purposeful. There's something to that. So you're repeating the same exact movement for 6 rounds. Once that's done, you'll get a little bit of a rest. Then you'll rotate to the next station. Then you'll do the 20 seconds on, 20 seconds off for 6 rounds at that new station. So see how that's how we're only rotating around once, but you're just going to be at each station for a little bit. After that, of course, we have a little team builder as usual, and so on and so forth. There's 5 stations, 5 exercises. So let's do a little review. Okay, the first station, or I guess depending on where you start, but one of the stations, medicine ball squat toss. And we definitely want to use one of these slam balls, the softer ones, for this, as opposed to, we have those firm, those hard plastic, I guess, I'm not sure what material. But for this, we're not going to use the slam balls, they're a little more comfortable, because we're going to hold it at the chest, sure I got room here, and go into a squat. Okay, make sure your squat is a proper squat, so feet hip width apart. We want, hips back, like you're pushing your butt back towards the wall behind you, or whatever's behind you. So we're not just sinking the knees forward. So this isn't a squat, remember, right? A squat is hips go back. Want to make sure we're keeping the ball at the chest as we're going down, like this, as opposed to letting the ball fall down like that. That is the chest coming way too far down. So keep your chest tall and keep the ball up at the chest. So now that's the squat part. The toss. As you come up, toss that ball gently. Okay, doesn't have to be too high. Start with a little toss. If you get a little more comfortable with the motion, you can start to toss a little higher. That's going to be a little more shoulder engagement because you're pushing harder. The trick here, though, is the goal. You have 6 rounds to perfect it. So is to lower into the squat right as you're catching the ball. So there's no stark stopping. So I'll show you a few in a row. See how I'm gently and softly going into my squat as I'm catching that ball. And I'll show you what we're trying to avoid. Trying to avoid catching it, stopping, and then squatting. You might have to do that for the first couple, as you're the ball, sometimes when you're getting used to the motion, sometimes the ball you might sort of throw it too far in front of you or even too far behind you. The first few might be a little wonky, but once you get the motion down, you want to go for that smooth, steady up and down. So that is our first station. Okay, next station, a seated band row. It's going to be on the floor. So got your regular band tubing with the handles here, already anchored up to something, probably the racks. So the way you sit does make a difference. We're going to be seated with the legs out and kind of split, so in a V shape here. And from here, you want a really tall posture. This seated position is already very hard for most body types because we kind of want to slouch, first of all. A lot of people, their legs don't want to go perfectly straight, and don't force them, but try. You'll notice if your body tends to want to bend the knees, when you start to force them to go straight, it makes you want to tip backwards. So it's a lot more core to stay up tall. So this is already tough. And then we're going to add a seated, a back row, a normal back row. And by normal, I just mean palm neutral grip. So palms are turned in. So we're not going to do overhand. We're not going to do underhand. So palms turned in towards one another. Sit up tall. I already said that a bunch of times. When you row, though, we're not leaning back. That's very important for this. So I want you to keep your body position super still and just pull back The arms, notice how I don't know if you can notice it, but I'm squeezing my shoulder blades together. And when you squeeze your shoulder blades together, it naturally kind of pops the chest forward. So chest out, shoulder blades and shoulders back. And that gets you that nice squeeze right back here where we want it. Anyone staying off the floor, this doesn't really have to be demonstrated, so I won't. But you're just going to grab a box or a bench and do that exact same thing, seated up on something, and you might want to raise the band up a little higher. But same thing, up on an seated, sitting up really tall on a box. So that's our seated back row. All right, the next station is the agility ladder. We're going to do the hopscotch, which is kind of our standard. And of course, an alternative to that is the in, out, out steps to avoid the impact of the jumps. But we're going to be doing a back trot. So it's a hopscotch with a back trot, and I'll show you what that looks like. And that works great. Oh, my nose is so itchy today. That works great if you have multiple people at stations, and if you only have one ladder, because then you don't have to like take turns. Because I'll show you what. Anyway, I'll show you what I mean. So you're at one end. You're gonna do the hopscotch, jumping in and out of each box. You get to the end, step to the side, and we look behind us and do a little back trot to go back. You're back to the start. Do it again. So while you're trotting back, the next person can do their ladder. Yeah, and even if there's not two people at this station, we're still going to do that back trot. It's great for agility, using the body in a little different way, going backwards, so it's a little more cognitive function. To take out the jumps, it'll be an in, out, out step, trying to add some speed, okay? Same thing though, when we get to the end, we're going to do that little back trot back. Definitely look behind you. Don't just go without looking, so look behind you as you do that. And yeah, if you do have two ladders, set up two, if there's multiple people at one station, still so you can both have your own ladder. Let's go a little smoother, but it does work just fine with one ladder and two people. All right, next station is a seesaw overhead press. We've done this one quite a few times. For the seesaw press, we're gonna keep the palms turned in. Standard overhead press is kind of usually palms forward, but for seesaw, we're gonna do palms in, okay? So the weights elbows are kind of forward. See how my elbows are a little forward in front of my body? Start one arm up, and we do that seesaw pattern. So while one arm is going up, the other arm is going down. As opposed to alternating, which is one arm completely does its full rep before the other arm starts. So it's a subtle difference, but it is a difference. It's actually not subtle. It's actually not subtle as far as how it feels. So one arm is moving, both arms are always moving. Just one arm is going up while the other arm goes down. Now, one thing people tend to, I think it just feels like you want to do this fast. So people, I think, tend to feel like a need to go fast. It doesn't have to be fast. It's just that they're constantly moving. That's all. So don't feel like you have to do that one overly fast. Now, you'll want to pick a weight a little bit lighter than what you would pick if we were doing a normal rotation and you were doing one set of this and then not coming around to it until next round, because shoulders fatigue very quickly and you're only going to get 20 seconds of rest between each set. So these shoulders are going to be tired, and they're going to get tired very quickly with only a minimal 20-second break time. So you might want to go, if you normally if you do 15s, you might want to grab 10s. If you normally do 12s, might want to grab 10s or 8s. So, or have two sets. Maybe for the first couple of rounds, you go to your heavier set, but then for the last few rounds, you go to your lighter set. Just giving you a little tip on that one, okay? So that is our seesaw overhead press. All right, in station 5, the last one is super, well, I don't want to say easy, but it's going to be a spin bike, an airdyne, a rower, maybe an elliptical if you have ellipticals very close to your turf space. So this is the rower here. So it's going to be, each club's going to be a little bit different on that one, but something that's very easy to start and stop. So not a treadmill, because we're not going to hit start and then wait the 5 seconds for it to start. Hit stop and then wait for it to start back up again. So something easy to start and stop at the countdown of the 20 seconds. But yeah, so one of those options, your coach will have it either wheeled into the turf space, or some of the gyms I know have cardio equipment right on the turf space already. So that is station 5. Okay, all we have left is our team builder. So for the team builder, it's going to be a bear crawl race. Okay, there's going to be a start and a finish line, just like any other race. It's not a relay. I'm not 100% sure the dictionary definition of like a race and a relay difference, but I should look that up. Anyway, but this is a race. It's all in fun, so don't overthink it. The race components. So bear crawl, it's tricksy. It really is hard. So we've done it before as an exercise. Hands and knees. Look at my toes are curled under. That's very important here. So we're not like this. We lift up minimally. You probably didn't even see my knees lift off the floor because my pants are dark and the turf is dark. You want this, the less you lift your knees up, the more accurate this movement is, but also the harder. So you lift up just a little, and then you move opposing arm and leg at the same time. So I'm going to step my left hand, right leg, and vice versa. And you take little steps. And that was a stupid place to put this, pardon me. Okay, so back to it. So, like so. So, what might happen, because it's a race and we want to win, we might start like inadvertently cheating a little bit and like going like this. So we want to keep this an appropriate bear crawl. So keep your back level, keep your hips and your butt down. If your butt ends up way up here, you're not doing the movement correctly and you're cheating a little bit. And don't take big steps like this. The goal is to kind of keep your hand relatively under your shoulder at all times. So you're not taking a big hand stride like that. I'll show you one more time. So you take little steps like that. The knee stays very close to the floor. Very challenging. It's a little uncomfortable in the hands with this turf. So if you have gloves, like lifting gloves that you keep with you in your gym bag, you might want to use them. So that's that. We're just going to, whoever crosses that finish line first wins. Now, if you're unable to do our floor things for any reason, or this movement in particular isn't agreeing with your wrists or your shoulders, you're going to still participate in our race. But you get to do a medicine ball duck walk. Very different movement, but it's a great alternative in that it's relatively just as difficult. However, you will get to go down and then back again. So you have to go to the finish and back to the start because this movement moves much quicker. So you will get to do this movement where you're in a isometric squat, wide squat, and you walk and push that medicine ball. I know I can't stay in the frame for very long. Show you again. Low squat, wide stance, stay low, push that medicine ball. So as you can see, that moves a lot quicker than the bear crawl. So you have to go to the finish line and back if that's the exercise that you're doing in place of the bear crawl. Okay? We're gonna have some goofy looking things happening on the turf for our team builder. So we'll see who wins, but of course it's all in fun. And let's get down on the floor for some weird stuff for this team builder. All right, teams, I hope you enjoy this kind of differently structured workout this week. Looking forward to mobility week next week. And I hope everyone's feeling pretty well acclimated now to the new warm up and the new cool down because it's been a couple weeks. So yeah, have a great week and I'll see you in week 30.